Chag Sameach. As I take advantage of the quiet time to study, pray, and meditate and spend quality time with the family, I am reminded of a beautiful Pesach experience I had in Cairns, Australia 22 years ago. The beautiful climate, tropical rainforest, and the Great Barrier Reef, said to be one of the world's 7 natural wonders, makes it a very popular tourist destination. While I did marvel at its breathtaking landscapes, tropical plants, and wildlife, I wasn't there to tour. I had gone with a friend as the Rebbe's young emissaries to bring the spirit of Passover to the city's residents and tourists, many who were Israeli backpackers. Indeed, we managed to attract some 40+ people to a Seder at a local hall, but mostly we spent our time bringing the joys and traditions of Judaism to local homes and businesses. One evening we found ourselves in the home of an enthusiastic young man named Trevor. Though Trevor was attracted to meditations of various cultures, he tried his best, despite his minimal knowledge, to keep our traditions too. For example, he told us that he knew that we did not eat leavened bread on Passover, so he purchased some unleavened bread from the local supermarket. Seeing Trevor's interest in spirituality, we introduced him to tefillin, something he was eager to learn about. But being that we don't put on tefillin during the holiday of Passover, he invited us back after the holiday to fulfill this mitzvah. He told us that we could also enjoy a swim on the quiet beachfront off the deck of his home, assuring us that it was very rare that anyone would ever walk by. Then, before we left, we asked whether he knew of any other Jewish people we could reach out to. At first, he didn't seem to think that he did. But then he reminded himself that from time to time, he substituted in the local school, which had a large population of Aboriginal children. And in the teacher's roll book, under religion, one of these boys was listed as Jewish. He could not remember the boy's name and had never met the parents. I remember not being quite sure what to do with the information, but who knows? Fast forward to the day after Pesach, around 11 a.m., we were driving from one community to another. I stopped at the light, something I usually try to do. And to our surprise, in the car next to us was none other than our new friend, Trevor. We knew it was divine providence when he told us that he had wanted to let us know that he wouldn't be home at 1 o'clock as planned, but he had no way of reaching us. It was prior to cell phone days. So instead, we went back to Trevor's home at 3 o'clock. Of course, we helped him wrap the tefillin, and then as he busied himself with cracking open a coconut, we enjoyed a swim on the beach. I don't know how long we spent in the water, but as he assured us, there wasn't a person in sight. Not until we headed back to the deck. From a distance, we saw a family, a mother, a father, and 2 children. "Hey," Trevor called out to us. "That's the Jewish Aborigine kid I told you about." Excitedly, Trevor approached the mother, introduced himself, and in return, she responded, "I am Barbara." I don't know what made me say it, but I suddenly asked, "Barbara Mendelsohn?" To which she responded, "Yes, I already spoke to you and I'm not interested." Yes, I had called her before Passover. That's how I had guessed her name. And that was also her response when she hung up the phone. So I stood to the side and listened as Trevor invited her to join him on Friday nights, where together they could make blessings he had learned on a kibbutz. Barbara explained that though she moved away from Sydney and traditional Judaism, she was very happy to accept the invitation. They spoke about a bar mitzvah for her son Elisha, and that although she would never want him to study in a yeshiva, she did want him to know a little about his heritage. Remarkably, the only thing Elisha knew was the word Mashiach, because when he was taught in school about the founder of the Catholic Church, Barbara had made it very clear that we Jews do not believe in him. We only believe in Mashiach. Hearing this, I could no longer remain quiet and explained that one of the reasons we had come to Cairns was to teach the children about their heritage. And to my surprise, she agreed that I can come over the next morning and teach her son. She stipulated that I would have only half an hour and that I shouldn't be too hard on him. Indeed, at 10 o'clock the next morning, I taught young Elisha the significance of the first Hebrew letter Aleph and how our forefather Abraham had recognized Hashem, about how a kippah reminds us that God is always above us, about our great leader Moses who took us out of Egypt, and about the Mashiach he already believed in, who will one day bring redemption to us and the entire world. This is an incredible story of divine providence. It is also a story of the Pintel Yid, the spark of Judaism found inside every Jew. And it is the story of the Rebbe's leadership and far-reaching vision that every Jew, even one lost in some quiet beach on the east coast of far north Queensland, be sought after and cared for. Not long afterwards, a friend told me that he had seen the story of Moses in the movie The Ten Commandments. That's great, I thought. He just watched the story. I just lived the story. You see, years before the Exodus, while in Midian, Moses became the shepherd of Jethro's sheep. One day Moses noticed a lamb straying from the herd. He ran after it until they arrived at a pool and it began to drink. I didn't know you strayed because you were thirsty. You must be tired, Moses said, as he carried it back home. It was at that moment that God said, because you, Moses, are merciful enough to guide a mortal sheep, I promise you will eventually shepherd my flock, the Jewish people. Perhaps more incredible than his compassion is the fact that Moses realized that the sheep did not run away from the flock out of malice. It was merely thirsty. The same is true, the Rebbe taught us. When a Jew alienates himself from his people, God forbid, it is only because he is thirsty. Every Jewish soul thirsts for meaning in life. And like Trevor and Barbara, they wander about seeking to quench their thirst. Like Moses, our Rebbe too lovingly lifts them into his arms and brings them back home. This is the story I lived 22 years ago, and this is the story I try to live each day as the Rebbe's emissary, teaching Torah and inspiring the joys of Judaism in all Japan. May we all be blessed with good health and Mashiach now.